Good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Tim, back once again for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And with me today is my co-commentator who was thankfully able to fill in for me last week, and big thank you for that, by the way, Smithy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm excited for a great race, hopefully like Bahrain, and hopefully follow on from two great races in Saudi Arabia from GP3 and GP4 yesterday and Monday.
Yeah, and of course, Saudi Arabia, one of the newest additions on the F1 calendar. So it debuted in 2021. This is officially called the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, if I did not butcher that name. Of course, the American accent kind of makes that difficult. The length is 6.1 kilometers with 27 turns. And you mentioned, Smithy, that you're hoping that we're going to see a very unique and exciting race like Bahrain last week. So why don't you fill in the viewers on what happened last week in Bahrain?
Well, we had PSI Legends take pole by quite a margin, to be fair, for GP2, and he ended up spinning, got in a couple of incidents, and there was quite a few, I believe, three safety cars as well. And obviously MTJ ended up winning it. I think came second and Mansell came third. And was a really exciting race. And go watch that back after you've watched this, as it was a really good race.
And of course, another exciting thing is with this being F1 2022, of course, the newest edition of the official F1 game, it is also the GP2 series' first chance to run the new car throughout the course of a season. Now, I personally have not been able to have any experience with this new car yet, but Smithy, I believe that you yourself actually have.
Yeah, it feels amazing. At least around Bahrain, I haven't tried Jeddah yet, which is quite surprising considering I've got a race tomorrow. Yeah, but they feel amazing, and I somehow went from the back of GP2 last season to nearly on the podium in GP1, but I ended up P9 at the end of the race.
Yeah, well, I guess you traded in your seat for a microphone and then got promoted in the process. And another driver that's sort of traded in his microphone for a seat is Mansell. Of course, he was my co-commentator for the majority of the season just a few months ago, last season in GP2. However, he is now racing in GP2. We can't take a look at him yet. He is not out on track. However, the driver we are taking a look at is MDJ, the winner from last week in Bahrain. And oh, he actually spins, so not a good start to his Saudi Arabian Grand Prix so far. And looks like, oh my goodness, he actually got in the way of another competitor there. So, I don't know, maybe the stewards will have to take a look at that. Not sure what's going on with MDJ, but likely will be pulling into the pits. Yes, he does. So let's find someone who's on a flying lap, Bossy Gaming. So MDJ's teammate in the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, Bossy had some good battles with him last season, and he's quite a quick driver. And he can. Oh, and he's validated.
Oh, and he spins. And, Smithy, correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like he clipped that curb through that right-hander, and that must have just lost a little bit of traction, and he spun around.
Around that corner, there's actually no curb, kinda. It's just paint. But the corner before that, there is a curb. Easy to do. And easy to invalidate as well.
And so I get
also with the new traction patch. Sorry, not traction patch. With a new patch for handling, it's going to be even tougher for setups and high tire pressures.
And so I guess Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
And so I guess the larger question then would be, do the game physics allow you to get wheel spin on that paint? Because I know that in real life the paint might be a little bit slicker than the track surface, and especially when it's wet, which obviously we're not having to deal with right now. But would the game physics actually take that into consideration?
I believe they do, but not much though. But I believe they do, but as I said, not much though. But it could. I've seen a lot of people spin there in GP3 and GP4, so it's definitely a corner to keep your eye on. This race is very fun to go to top.
So Rage Hunter, the fastest lap, a 129.335. Take a look at Norloser, who now goes the fastest lap, a 129.187 for the Aston Martin driver. Now let's take a look at Mansell, who is out on his flying lap now. So Mansell in the Williams car this season. Oh, and he spins right as we go to the onboard. So Mansell not going to have a fast lap this time around. Let's take a look now at Bossy Gaming, who might be out there for another attempt.
Yeah, he needs to cool those tyres down from his first lap, as he spun quite a few times, so they'll probably be a bit worn as well, which could hamper him in this race.
Oh, and Bossy spins again and into the wall. But wow, look at the durability on that nose. No damage that I can see. So you got to give it to the new car. They are at least very durable here on F1 2022. But Bossy Gaming currently not agreeing with this car or this circuit. Let's go ahead and take a look at Para now in the Alpine car. That beautiful blue and pink. I know it's a little controversial to have those two colors mixed together, but personally I am a fan. But Para has invalidated his lap, so let's take a look now at Calvin, who is in the Haas car, just now passing his teammate. That's his teammate of Rage Hunter, who is second on the board with a 129.3. Oh, and Calvin even goes into the wall.
Yeah, it looks like he hit the wall on the entry to the to turn 29 as well. So hitting the wall twice and now blocking his teammate in the pit.
And MDJ on a lap. Oh, and he goes very wide. That is, yes, it was an invalidation. The stewards did not like that. So we're seeing a lot of struggles from these drivers at Saudi Arabia today. And I'm wondering, Smithy, could it be that because this car drives so much differently, in theory, than the older car and the car on F1 2021, are they maybe just out of force of habit driving it like a 2021 car instead of 2022?
Well, I think they've had enough weeks on the new game. It's been obviously over a month since it was released to everyone, to the whole public. So I'm hoping they've got it nailed down. But obviously the handler model changes recently could really affect the setup. So it could be down to a setup issue. They basically eliminated high tire pressures, so you've got to run next to no tire pressures around the circuit, and you definitely need downforce. So maybe a setup issue, and they might need to go change that.
Well, hopefully for these drivers, they will get it situated sooner rather than later. Just 11 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. We've only had 5 drivers set a lap time of any kind. And I almost think that that's a record for the longest time that a qualifying session has elapsed with, as few drivers as we've had set a lap time. But who's counting exactly? Currently watching Cassidy in the Alfa Romeo and with no time on the board, but we'll see if he can get a good lap down. Oh, almost a slide, but he saved it. You could really see the back end of that car really poke out there.
Yeah, that was a near perfect corner on the edge there, and he could either it's a corner to lose time or gain time. As he sets another perfect sector, that's 2 perfect sectors of Cassidy now. It's really in control of that car.
Going to allow you to hear the sights and sounds of the Saudi Arabian GP circuit while Cassidy finishes his lap. And it is P3, a 129.526 for the Alfa Romeo of Cassidy. Slayer, a 129.613, the teammate to Cassidy, who is in the pits, but they are 3 and 4 at the moment. Take a look now at Matty in the Ferrari. So we'll see what he is able to do. No time on the board, still only 6 drivers with a time.
Yeah, it's a challenging circuit, as I've been saying. As I believe Brontosaurus is in the final sector, yeah. That Haas just in front of him. Calvin.
So Brontosaurus in the McLaren. We'll watch him go down the front straightaway. Keeping to that inside line. Let's see what kind of a run he got. P7, a 131.853. Definitely going to be looking to improve upon that. So
that Ferrari looks absolutely beautiful under the lights.
So for the Ferrari of Matty is who we're looking at now. Of course, his teammate of Dye in P5 with a 129.645 at the moment. And Matty so far so good on his lap, and I believe we're now at the final stretch. We'll see what he's able to do. Bypasses the pit entry, and as he crosses the line, Matty is going to go to P7, a 130.983. Let's take a look now at King David here in the Alpine, but he has invalidated his lap, so we'll have to take a look at his teammate Just Para, and he goes to P2, a 129.308 for the other Alpine car.
Nice lap there. As I believe Mansell's spun again. He's now getting going. He's gotten going again.
So Calvin in the Haas, we're watching him now, getting a little bit of a slipstream off of the car in front of him. Is that maybe his teammate of Rage Hunter? I think it might be, actually. But I'm having trouble seeing.
Oh, no, it Legends. Oh, and Milton spun it and lost it. Caster goes P3. Oh, he's done what Bossy nearly did on Bossy's first lap. You remember back there, he spun it there and just binned his car into the wall.
And that is a shame for Milton, so it will be no better than P8 for him, and I dare say it'll probably be even worse than that when it's all said and done. Taking a look now at MDJ, still has not been able to set a lap yet, as Rage Hunter goes quickest, a 129.020 for the Haas, so Haas are 1 and 4 at the moment. Calvin, of course, a 129.314 on his last lap. MDJ in this AlphaTauri in the second sector, it looks like, from the mini-map. So let's pay attention to his lines, because the Jeddah Corniche circuit, it's really, I'd say, infamous in its very, very young age for these sweeping corners, these really fast corners. And it's one challenge that I had to overcome when racing in GP5 the past 2 seasons. So I personally did not like the Saudi Arabian circuit, but other drivers do. MDJ, maybe he has mixed feelings with a 129.849.
To be honest, I don't think many people like the like the track, to be honest. It's not really a popular one, but it provides good racing, provides good fun, and definitely excitement. But yeah, let's just look for that in GP2 tonight. You put me off saying GP5 there.
I will say, though, that the Saudi Arabian circuit is so much better than whatever lame excuse for a racetrack the Vietnam layout was.
I quite enjoyed Vietnam, to be honest. I thought it was quite nice.
Maybe I'm in the minority, but I did not like Vietnam at all. That's back in the F1 2020 days. And I will say, though, I was very interested to see how Formula One would race on that circuit. Of course, obviously, as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic pretty much put an end to that before they even were able to go to the circuit and race. And oh my goodness! The Slayer spins and destroys the car. So the Slayer is out with a 129.613, going to be his best lap time.
You were saying earlier how durable the cars were. They didn't look very durable there.
Not that time. Definitely not. So Bossy Gaming, he had a spin to where he hit the wall, and you'd surely think he'd at least lose a front wing. Seemingly didn't get any damage. Then the Slayer, he spins, hits the wall, and you think, oh, okay, he's going to lose a front wing, but he'll be okay. The car just gets torn to pieces.
Disintegrates.
So Cassidy, Slayer's teammate, we'll see if he has better luck on his lap. He's on an out lap, though, so we'll have to wait for him to get back around. Trying to find someone on a flying lap. Looks like PSI Legends in the Mercedes is on a flying lap. Currently his best time, a 1:30.4, so we'll see what he's able to do. Just over 4.5 minutes remaining in the qualifying session, so if you want to get out there and set a fast lap, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, it's getting to the exciting time qualifying now, as I believe Matty has spun. Hasn't lost his front wing. Spinning where Bossy Damon spun on his first lap, and where Milton spun when he retired.
So PSI in the third and final sector. Oh, and he invalidates his lap, so that is not going to be a fast lap for him. We'll take a look at Mansell and the Williams, who is also invalidated. So I believe that's all the drivers that are on the flying lap. So we'll take a look at some of them on
Cassidy.
Oh, yes, Cassidy, actually. He is on his flying lap. So Cassidy, a 129.5 is his best lap time, and it looked like he went purple in the first sector. So this could be a good lap for the Alfa Romeo driver, and definitely going to be a better lap than the Slayers if he's able to finish this lap. Oh, almost clipping the wall, but going very wide, very precise with his line through there.
That was absolutely beautiful, and I think we forgot to mention, I don't know if you mentioned it at the start of the session, Train Game Wow has a qualifying ban. That is quite surprising for the GP2 champion, of course, last season. I did not see that coming, to be honest.
Yes, I was unaware that Train Game Wow did have a qualifying ban. So that's why he has not set a lap time. He will be starting from the back of the grid. But you know what? It's not where you start, it's where you finish. So we'll keep an eye on Train Game Wow, see if he's able to charge his way through the field. As Cassidy does get that fast lap, the first driver to get into the 128 bracket, and he's celebrating at the line. A 128.920, 1 second exactly quicker than Rage Hunter, at least down to the 1,000th of a second.
It's actually a 10th, not a second.
Yes,
yeah.
you are correct. Remember
Yeah.
last season when I said never trust my math?
Yeah, don't worry, man.
Oh no, I've got a story to tell you later. After the qualifying, I have got a story to tell you about how horrendous my math is. My brain just doesn't process it, I guess. So that is the issue there. But you know what? That's why we got a co-commentator to correct the commentator when he messes up. So a 10th of a second there faster than Rage Hunter.
Don't worry, it's I'm Scouse, mate. I don't think anyone can understand me.
but we'll see if anyone can beat Cassidy. And you know what? Maybe if Cassidy goes out there for another lap and goes a second quicker, then I'll be right.
Here comes Massey. P9.
Oh, and a little bit of spark shooting out from underneath the car there, so it's bottoming out. That kind of goes to show you, possibly how much downforce he has on the rear of that car. Of course, you don't want a high downforce setup, I would imagine, around the Saudi Arabian circuit because it's just such a fast track that you really do need that straight line speed in sections. But, it's always a balance wherever you go.
Yeah, you want more middle, like 21-22 or 22-21. Obviously, this is your first time on the game. They've changed the aero basically, and you've got 20 up to 50 in terms of aero now, instead of the 11 that you had last season.
So, Matty, so far so good. No invalidations there. All of our drivers except for one who was able to set a lap time has set a lap time. The one driver who has yet to do so is Mansell, but he's on his flying lap now, so we'll switch over to him just as soon as Matty is done with his lap. In the third and final sector now, but Matty is actually looking quite slow on this lap, so we'll take a look at Mansell now. And oh my goodness, as soon as we change to him, he slides into the wall. You can't blame us there. That was already started before we got to him.
Yeah, commentator's curse. We had a couple of that last night where me and Martin on GP3. Me and Martin would say something and then it'd happen. Sorry, the opposite would happen. Looks like Cassidy might be on pole, depending on what Rage Hunter can do. Maybe even Calvin just coming around the final corner now.
Take a look at MDJ. We'll switch over to Rage Hunter. As Calvin, a 129.3 still, but he goes to second with a 128.944 when he completes his lap. So Rage Hunter in the second sector at the moment.
So that gap between Calvin and Rage Hunter, Calvin and Cassidy, it's quite close.
Very close and chomping at the bit, and Cassidy cannot defend his lap time if someone beats him because qualifying is officially over. So the drivers have to finish their laps, and then that's it for qualifying. We'll be able to jump into the race. And Rage Hunter, he's definitely wanting to get that pole position, get the prime starting spot as just Para. 128.880. Wow, that's a fantastic time. Let's see what Rage Hunter can do. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. It's going to be a
Ooh.
128.895. Very, very close, though. A little bit closer than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, Mansell.
And Mansell is out, so he will not be setting a time either. So him and Train Game are going to have to come from the back to the front if they're going to want to get those podium positions. But it's looking like at the moment that what you see is what you get, and Just Para is your pole sitter today. Rage Hunter in second, Cassidy in third.
Yeah, and with the new cars, like you said earlier, look at the gap between the top three. It's so close, and it's definitely providing some good qualifying sessions, and hopefully a good race to go along with that.
So your official starting lineup for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix: Just Para on the pole, Rage Hunter in second, third is Cassidy, Calvin in fourth, Norloser in fifth, Die in sixth, King David in seventh, eighth is MDJ the Slayer in ninth, 10th is Maddie, Milton in 11th, PSI Legends in 12th, 13th is Rontosaurus, Bossy Gaming in 14th, 15th is Mansell, and then Train Game Wow in the 16th position after serving a quali ban. So from the back to the front, will that McLaren go? Well, we're going to have to wait and see. So while we are preparing for the race, I would love to tell you a little bit of real-life F1 news during this little segment, but we are officially on the summer break, and everyone already knows the big news stories that have happened within the last couple of weeks with Sebastian Vettel retiring and Oscar Piastri claiming that he will not be driving for Alpine, while Alpine claims he will be. So, of course, there's a lot of controversy there, and I'm sure that everyone is just F5ing Twitter and Reddit as we speak. So instead, I'm going to tell you that math story. Smithy. Back in high school, I remember in my geometry class, I obviously did not perform. Math is not my forte. So when it came down to the final exam, and remember, I put at least half an effort worth for a high school student in this class. When it came down to the final exam, I needed to make, I think, a 53 to pass the entire class because I was really close on the grade. And I took probably the longest time I've ever taken in my life to take a test, to try to take that thing as carefully as I could, do everything right, and I made like a 59. Just cannot do math. I'm not bragging about this either, so anyone out there that is better at math than me and geometry and all of that, please stick to your studies. Smithy, I know that you are actually still in school, so that's advice for you too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
of course,
I've got another. Yeah, I've got another 4 years of school, which is not nice.
Yep. So now it is time for our top 3 predictions for me and you, and also the chat as well. Who do you think is going to be the top 3 at the end of the day in any particular order? And I'm going to have to go with Rage Hunter, Calvin, and Die.
I'm gonna go with Rage Hunter winning. Cassidy is going to be second, and I think either Mansell or Train Game Well for third. I'll go for Train Game Well.
All right, so you're thinking that they are going to make a charge through the pack, but there are your tire selections. Mostly medium tires across the board, save for MDJ on the hard compound, doing what we used to call psychomich things. And of course, Rontosaurus in P13 on the soft compound tire. Otherwise, it is a sea of yellow right now, and we'll see how those strategy works for these drivers. And of course, a bit of note on the strategy this season. Of course, we've already had our qualifying session, but it's still important to note that you get 4 soft tires available for qualifying, and then you get 1 hard compound, 1 medium compound, and 1 soft compound tire for the race.
Yeah, and you get to choose whatever you want really for the start. So you can, I could go on the inters if I wanted to. but it wouldn't be advisable, of course, on the right track. I can go on the softs, I can go on the hards, depending. So if I had done qualified pole on the softs, I could go on the hards for the start if I wanted to, which is a new rule for this season.
I'm not sure if I want to live in the crazy, crazy world that would see somebody starting on the inters on a dry circuit and actually being able to do well.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, really. Dye misses his grid spot, same for Cassidy.
So that is a disqualification from the formation lap, for those of you who are not aware, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Josh Para leads them down into turn number 1, but the two Haas cars already side by side and 3 wide into turn number 1, with Cassidy on the outside trying to go for second around the Haas of Calvin Racing, while there was a spinner in the back. Looks like Rontosaurus down to P13, Train Game Wow already up to P11. Cassidy down to P4 and spins around. So Cassidy dropping down like a rock now.
Yeah, as Matty went straight on at turn 1. PSI Legends has no front wing. I believe he might have hit Matty. Train Game Well goes straight across the track to overtake it. He'll have to give that back. As that will be an illegal overtake, and he'll probably get a 5-second penalty for that. If not a warning. And that is a great start for him as well, as Rage Hunter and Dye go side by side.
Let's see which driver's able to prevail here. Looks like Dye in the Ferrari goes to P4 around Rage Hunter. So just Para, Calvin, and King David, your top 3, with Dye and Rage Hunter, your top 5
Rage Hunter
at the start. Oh,
Rage Hunter's missing a bit of his front wing.
Is it the right side in plate? I think it is.
Yeah, same for Norloser, I think, on the left side. I can't really see if this high speed. Yes, Norloser is missing his left side end plate. Maybe they've collided.
So early on, Rage Hunter suffering some damage. And, you know, this pack that we're watching now, they are 2 seconds behind the top 3. So we'll join the battle for the top 3 here in just a moment. But it looks like Norloser is currently battling with MDJ. But, of course, Smithy, you said that Norloser might have some damage as well. So we'll see him dive down into the pits and actually cut right across the nose of Train Game Wow. Train Game not expecting Norloser to go down into the pits, but he had to get over there while he could. So Train Game Wow already in 1 lap goes from P16 to P8, making up half the spots that he needs to win this race. His teammate Rontosaurus and the McLaren just behind him on those soft compound tires. MDJ ahead of him in P7, and now we'll take a look at the lead, as there's already been a little bit of jostling around for position. It was
MDJ's round on the hards. Ooh.
And I guess I spoke too soon. MDJ losing it there. But King David trying to defend against Calvin Racing, the spot that he just took from Calvin. And this is allowing just Para to pull away. So the Alpines running 1 and 2, wondering if maybe they're working together a little bit here. And remember, this top 3 has about 1.8 seconds over P4 of Dye there in the Ferrari. So they have got a little bit of breathing room to kind of relax and make sure they hit their marks. But now it looks like we might be under a virtual safety car.
Yes, we are, as it is MDJ. No, it is. I can't see. I think this may be a glitch. No one's lost the front wing. Yes, there we go. Rontosaurus. No front wing. And I believe, actually, we might have a timing glitch in game, as Para is 1 minute and 36 seconds ahead of King David on my screen. Same on yours.
Everything looks good on my screen except for the yellow flags in all 3 sectors, so we'll wait and see what happens there. But, you know, as we said, it looks like we might be under a VSC, so we'll have to wait and see. All we're seeing at the moment on the graphic is a yellow flag in sectors 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it doesn't show the, it doesn't show, the safety car or safety car anymore. Rage Hunter pits, so does Bossa Gaming and Rontosaurus. Rontosaurus coming onto the mediums first time.
So this does allow the rest of the pack to catch these top 3, or at least give them a little bit of a chance. You know, they can slow down, cool off their tires, and maybe Dye can make a run. But here is the DRS enabled, and we are back under green. So the VSC has been lifted, and Dye actually was caught sleeping because he's losing a lot of ground now. He had it down to 1.8 seconds, and I was thinking that if he timed it right, he would be able to make a charge, but it looks like he's lost a lot, so gonna see what's happening with him for a brief moment here. And Actually, Dye might have some damage. No, he's okay. He's just a little bit slow, but Calvin Racing side by side with King David now as he gets back into the second position.
A nice move by Calvin there with the new DRS zone, of course, going straight down in towards turn 20, I believe it is. Or 20. So, it's in the 20s, I know that. That's about it. King David's going to come straight back at him. And Calvin's going to get the DRS down the lane straight in towards turn 1, but going a bit wide there. Milton and Mansell as well. As I believe no loser spins.
And Mansell making a move on the Red Bull of Milton here, side by side down the front straightaway. Let's see which driver is going to be able to get the advantage. Remember, turn 1's a left-hander, then turn 2's a right-hander, but Mansell is able to clear Milton before they get to turn 1, so Mansell has the preferred line through turn number 2, gets the job done fairly easily.
Yeah, nice move by Mansell there. He's going to try and chase down Shane Game well now. Obviously starting in front of him, but having that poor start and being disqualified on performance left his tyres cold, and even further back then, Shane Game was actually closer to the car in front than Mansell was. So it was inevitable that Mansell was going to get the poor start.
And of course, Mansell, you know, he started back there with Train Game Wow. So, you know, it's just really fantastic to see that both of those drivers were able to, you know, pick their way through the field. And of course, you know, you mentioned that there was a lot of, we'll say, chaos on the start, so that helped them as well, but they still had to find their way through it, and maybe starting in the back actually benefited them a little bit to allow them to avoid that. But already seeing some penalties on the board. MDJ 3 seconds for multiple warnings, and PSI, he's got the fastest lap, but it looks like he's also got a penalty as well. 5 seconds worth of time penalties for PSI Legends, 3 seconds for MDJ.
Yeah, here comes Milton again in towards the final turn. He's going to lift off to get that DRS in towards turn 1. Looks like Calvin's going to get past King David here as well.
Oh, and Mansell almost spun, I think, out of the final corner. Something went wrong, and he's losing 2 positions. I think he got a little bit loose, and that pretty much killed all of his momentum down the front straightaway. So Maddie is able to get a position there, and Milton is able to get the position back from Mansell. So now Mansell's going to have to go back on the offensive, and he's going to have to keep an eye on his mirror as well, because Cassidy in the Alfa Romeo is slowly but surely coming and charging ahead. But Cassidy looked like he was flirting with track limits back there, so he might want to be careful. But now we will rejoin the battle for the second position, because Calvin Racing has just got back by King David, and they are still chasing Jaspera, who has increased his gap to 2.6 seconds.
I actually believe King David lifted off to get the DRS down this next straight and the straight after as well, which I believe might be illegal. Might have been changed for this season, but I believe it is illegal. But see what I can do.
Wait, explain that to me. What is illegal?
So lifting off, getting the DRS. To get the DRS basically, so just letting your opponent pass you, so you can get the DRS and get past them again, basically.
I'm not sure why that would be illegal. That's good strategy, and it worked for King David, because he goes to the inside. And does he clear him? Yes, he does, off the final corner. So just pairing King David 1 and 2 once again. Calvin Racing, though, going to try to go back on another charge.
Here comes Milton in towards turn 1 on Matty. And this is a great recovery from Matthew, who was plumb last at the end of lap 1, having I believe a collision with PSI Legends and then straight on. A bit like Lewis Hamilton in lap 2. But obviously with minus the collision part.
We'll see if Calvin Racing is able to get a run on King David, and I think he's going to be able to do so. He gets that slipstream. He goes around the outside. Does he get the move done, though? A side-by-side battle. King David on the inside, but Calvin Racing with some momentum on the outside. Might see him overtake the Alpine driver, and he does, and he does not yet clear him. Now he does. Move Calvin back up into the second position.
Yeah, nice move by Calvin there, around the outside. I believe we saw someone else do that last night in GP2. Really nicely done.
And this is the kind of fierce, competitive, side-by-side racing that we like to see here in Speed Force Racing. Both of those drivers giving each other enough room and respect to race side by side. Hats off to them both.
Oh, Mansell going a bit wide there, trying to get past Milton. Oh, he's round. Oh, he's nearly being collected by Cassidy. That was close. Oh, he's in the wall. He's shifted his front wing.
So Mansell having an issue, and King David now trying to go back by Calvin Racing into turn number 1. We are still green, and it is side by side through turn 1. King David has to back out of it, tries a crossover move. Is he going to be able to get the job done? Almost. Close, but no cigar for King David.
Yeah. Nice attempt at a move there.
So now we will go back and take a look at Mansell. Mansell, obviously with some front wing damage, diving down into the pits. So Mansell's race not going as planned for him, unfortunately, but it's still a long race to go. Lap 7 of 25, so maybe a late race safety car could play into his hands.
Yeah, speaking of safety cars, I believe we had, by lap 6, we were on our second version safety car last night, which, I'm surprised we haven't had one yet in GP. Oh no, we had a version safety car, didn't we? Yeah, we've had one version safety car, I remember that. I'm surprised there hasn't been a safety car though. Very clean racing from everyone here.
So while some drivers with damage make their pit stops and go back out on the racetrack, this is the story of the race. At the moment, you're watching the battle for P2, Calvin versus David, while Just Para, David's teammate, is 4.3 seconds ahead of this battle. And King David going on the inside of Calvin. Will he be able to get the job done? Yes, he will. Maybe. It's going to be a drag race down the front straightaway, and Calvin dives down behind David to try to get some slipstream as David is able to win that little battle. But they've pretty much just been trading positions off and on. One driver gets the DRS, gets by him, and then another one gets a good run off of a corner, uses the slipstream to get by him. This is just fantastic racing.
Oh, here comes Cassidy towards turn 1, and he's going to go up the inside of Milton. Oh, so close again. It looks like he's getting past them there, is Cassidy. Nice move there. Helped with the DRS, of course, but still a nice move.
So let's see if Milton's going to be able to get a run on Cassidy anytime soon. Looks like Cassidy's car just handles a little bit better through these sweeping corners. You can really see it rotate. So Cassidy doing a good job there. Let's see if Milton's able to get a run down this straightaway using the slipstream, but just not close enough to really benefit too much from it. But he keeps Cassidy in sight.
Here we go, here comes Calvin. He's going to get past him here, surely.
On board with Calvin. And we'll see just the speed difference that he gets when he gets the DRS. You heard the beep, so he will have the DRS down this straightaway.
He's closing it. He's closed it. He's playing it strategic. He's opening and closing it every couple of seconds just to get this DRS down his next straight and get the move done. Stiff, hit the wall a little bit on the inside of the final turn, but in towards turn 1, he's surely got this move done.
So I think what Calvin might be doing here, you know, like you said, he's playing with the DRS. He's trying to figure out the limits of that DRS and, you know, and figure out how he can use it to his advantage. Obviously, the easy solution is, hey, when you get DRS, open it up and pass your competitor. But as you were talking about, Smithy, sometimes that's not always the best way to go. And you mentioned that King David might have let out of the throttle in order to get the DRS off of Calvin and then overtake him down the straightaway. So he let the driver by briefly just so he could overtake him later. So maybe Calvin's playing with that and seeing, you know, where he's good with DRS and how his car reacts.
Calvin getting much better exits compared to King David at the minute. Obviously, it looks like he's on wheel as well compared to King David on controller. This track is more of a wheel circuit, which I don't think it should be. I don't think any circuit should be a wheel or a control circuit, but Calvin obviously having a bit of an advantage with the wheel. Looking like it's working as Cassidy spins.
And Calvin right on the back of that Alpine car, trying to go to the outside line. It's a side-by-side drag race. Calvin on the outside, King David on the inside. King David, though, still keeps the spot, but Calvin might be able to overtake him down the front straightaway. Still drag racing, and Calvin is just barely edging ahead. And he should have the inside line through turn 2, except King David found a little bit more speed and got ahead of Calvin.
Yeah, it was a drag race a bit tainted by DRS there with King David breaking a little earlier, getting the DRS, which was quite a nice strategic move by King David to keep that position ahead of Calvin. This is helping Dai come back into this battle, and maybe even Slayer and Train Game Wow, who Matty's round. He had Matty in his DRS. But Matty then spun out of turn 2.
So that is a shame for Matty there in the Ferrari, as his teammate Dai runs in P4 with pretty much no cars around him, save for Calvin just a little bit ahead, who is still on the back of King David. And, you know, this battle we're probably going to be watching for the majority of this race. I don't think that anyone has got anything for Just Para without a safety car. That's just a matter of fact. Just Para has got a 6.7 second lead, so everyone else is battling for second at the moment.
Yeah, I thought Calvin was going to go for a move there. That could have been an incident between these two. Nice clean racing between the two, of course. And Dai struggling down the straight compared to these two with DRS on each other. Oh, Calvin nearly runs into the back one. That was close.
Yeah, so Calvin really losing a little bit through that corner there. But the same.
He's gonna go for it. Same one.
It looked like he was thinking about it, but of course, you know, way too far back to think about that move. So he had to back out of it and just follow King David through. But it is the same old song and dance. And, you know, I'm almost wondering if this is really helping Dai get a little bit closer. However, I'm noticing that the gap does seem to fluctuate a little bit. It was down to 1.4. Now it's around 1.5. I've seen it up to 1.8. So, you know, it's just depending on where Dai can get some good runs. But we could potentially have a 3-car battle for the second position here in a few laps.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. And definitely hoping for that. As no loser for 12, locking up into turn 1. It's not going to help his tyres. Just trying to get past PSI Legends when he can. But yeah, as you're saying, Para with an absolute commanding lead of 7 seconds now. It's looking like a Para domination race at the minute.
So, Para, King David, Calvin, your top 3, Dai, and Slayer, your top 5, Train Game Wow, Milton, Matty, MDJ, Rage Hunter, your top 10 at the moment. Still waiting for the scheduled pit stops. Of course, we've had plenty of drivers dive down into the pits because they've spun, got front wing damage, or what have you. But for those drivers that have been lucky enough to avoid those incidents, we have yet for them to reach the end of their tire window, but that should be coming up sooner rather than later. Lap 12 of 25, pretty much halfway through at the moment.
Yeah, it's around this time when you'll see these pit stops coming, as there we go, Matty is the first one to blink. Doing 11 lap on those mediums, and he's going to do 14, 15 on those hards.
So Matty out now. Calvin still racing with King David, but I think at the moment, Calvin and King David, they've sort of calmed down a little bit. They're really not fighting that hard for position. They know that they got a long race left to go, and now's the time for Calvin to ride behind King David and really use this as an opportunity to figure out where his competitor is strong and where his competitor is weak.
It's a good battle here. Cassidy, PSI Legends, and No Loser. I think No Loser maybe gone off as Brontosaurus spins. Sorry, no, MDJ spins. It's unfortunate for MDJ. Those tires are not going to last much longer. That's his second spin, I believe, now. He's going to be pitting around, maybe around time. The other people are spinning. The other people are pitting, sorry, as Lee's possibly going to spin again as well.
So Cassidy looks like he pitted a couple of laps ago for the hard tire, so we'll see what he's able to do. as Para goes into the pits.
Guys in as well. Slayer stays out. Train Game Wow is deciding to not pit.
So just watching Cassidy battle with PSI Legends. PSI Legends on older hard tires. Cassidy on newer hard tires, trying to find a way around the Mercedes, looking to the outside line, side by side. This is the battle for P11, and Cassidy gets the job done. The Mercedes making his life a little bit difficult there for a while, and now Norloser trying to go around the Mercedes. And will he be able to do it, though? Not this time. However, waiting to see when they will pit. And it looks like Norloser has decided to pit this time, and I think you might have said that he had some damage.
He had damage at the start and then pitted. Same for... Oh, what was it? Rage Hunter, that was it. As Calvin now finally gets past the Alpine.
So Calvin, King David, and the Slayer, your top three, with Para after his pit stop in P4, then Train Game Wow in P5.
And here comes King David towards the final turn. Again, not deciding to go for a move. Getting towards turn one, he should get this move done. 4/10. It's more than enough. Calvin's in.
So King David going to go for the overcut here, try to stay out for an extra lap, and we'll see if that benefits him. Normally you see the undercut working better than the overcut, but you know, it really does depend on a lot of variables. How fresh are your tires? You know, did you do a good job at managing them? How quick are you around the circuit? And of course, how good is your competitor's outlap?
Yeah, especially with the new tire warmer thing. So if you're on the hards, they are incredibly hard to warm. It's basically like a formation lap. So they're about 74 degrees Celsius, and you've got to warm them up back towards the 80s as Calvin's really struggling there. You'll see him drop off into Milton, drop into the DRS range in Calvin this lap.
So Calvin may be flirting with track limits there. Of course, we have no way of knowing how many times Calvin has gotten a warning without going and looking at the personal race director, which I will not show you at this time, but we do know Calvin does not have penalties at the moment, and hopefully for his sake he won't get it.
He has one warning, which was early on in the race, I believe, lap 4. Yes, lap 4.
Oh, and speaking of penalties, PSI Legends, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so I believe that is 8 seconds for him now in total. There is the penalties, 3 seconds for Milton, 3 seconds for MDJ as well, and Norloser and Bossy Gaming, and 8 seconds for PSI Legends.
Is King David in? Yes, King David pits. He's got a 20-second gap to Calvin now. Let's see where it comes out. As I believe Para and Train Game Wow are going to have a battle here, if Train Game Wow chooses to not pit. Slayer stays out again. Yellow flags. Is that Bossy Gaming? Yes, it is.
And Calvin got by the Red Bull of Milton there just at the end, but does King David keep the position on Calvin? I think he did. He did. So King David does get out of the pits ahead of Calvin. So now Calvin is stuck chasing that Alpine. But like you said, Smithy, those tires on King David's car are cold, and he's going to have to warm them up very quickly. And it looks like Calvin is starting to catch him very quickly.
Already dropped a second in this first sector. It's a horrible track for warming up your tyres, and you'll probably see him weaving a bit just to warm them up. As here comes Calvin, he's so close to King David. As looks things, he's not going to get him yet.
And you can really see the difference. This is so impressive, actually, that Calvin is a little bit faster than King David because of these tires. Yeah. Oh!
Take the car. It's going to help Train Game Wow and Slayer, actually, who is going to come out probably around 3rd, 4th, maybe, for the Slayer.
And King David can breathe a sigh of relief because Calvin was breathing down his neck, I'd say quite literally at that point. And now King David can go into a formation lap and warm up his tires.
Yeah, as 10 laps ago, this is probably, maybe, to go to the softs if you can, as I believe that is not what the site's doing. He's going to the hards, and that is what Train Game Wow doing. He's going on to the softs. It's going to be a risky strategy, but he's going to try it.
Well, when we go back green, I'd say that we're going to have approximately 7-ish laps, give or take, of racing remaining. So I'd say the soft tires lasting 7 laps, I'd say that you could get away with that, but the question is, though, is what you find at some racetracks is the soft tire being beneficial more as just a quali tire instead of a race tire. So you'll see drivers pit in a late race safety car for soft tires and not make the gains that you would expect. So the question is Saudi Arabia one of those tracks?
Yeah, I've noticed that they do wear quite a bit around here. I think, well, it'll be a risk. But if it's a risk they're willing to take for a podium, the risk you're worth taking, really. Obviously, with everyone ahead of Train Game Wow on the hards, and everyone behind them are 3 people on the hard as well, on the mediums. It's looking quite good for Train Game Wow.
And, I think you said it best yourself there, Smithy, that it is a risk, but it's a risk worth taking when a podium is on the line, because you got to remember, Train Game Wow, he served a quali ban at the beginning of this race, so he started in the 16th position. If we had had 20 drivers entered into this race, he would have started in the 20th position. And through a little bit of luck and, of course, skill as well, Train Game Wow was able to navigate the chaos on lap 1 and find himself in the top 10 where he is now in P6. So even if this is the wrong strategy and he does not win this race, he does not get a podium, I think it's safe to say that as long as he doesn't get wrecked, he should at least finish in the points, which is a lot better than what his race was looking like when he started.
Yeah, it'll be an absolutely amazing race. I will just be back in 2 minutes. Sorry about this.
And so, while Smithy takes his break, we'll give you a quick rundown. Of course, Para and King David, your top 2, the 2 Alpine cars, running 1-2 as they have been for the majority of the day, save for when Calvin Racing was able to get by King David. And Calvin and King David, of course, have been trading positions throughout the whole race, so keep an eye on both of those drivers. And, of course, Dye in the Ferrari, he's been a bit of a sleeper back there in P4, just hanging out and staying there the whole time. But now that he's found himself to the back bumper of Calvin Racing and he can sniff the lead, I'm starting to question whether he's going to be satisfied with that P4 position for long. Of course, the Slayer, the safety car, really helping him out. He was leading at the time, so he pits and comes out with just 1 lap on his hard tires, and that 1 lap is a formation lap, so that does give him an opportunity to warm those tires up. Not saying he's not going to have issues with cold tires at the restart, but he's at least in better hands than, say, King David was when he came out on those cold tires. But even the safety car helped King David. Train Game Wow, of course, we said that he's made his way up to P6 from P16 and the first driver on soft tires, so we'll see if he's able to make a charge to the front. Milton in the Red Bull, he's ran about mid-pack all day, and he's got some time penalties. Here are the time penalties. 3 seconds for Milton. Rage Hunter not having the day that we expected. He had damage early on, so trying to rebound to at least a points-paying finish, currently running in P8. P9 is the Ferrari of Matty, and really just a mid-pack day for Matty most of the time as well. And then Rontosaurus, who is looking pretty good. I believe he started outside the top 10, finds his way into P10, and no time penalties at all. And now the safety car is coming in this lap. There's the rest of the time penalties on the board. MDJ, Norloser, Bossy Gaming, 3 seconds. Mansell with no time penalties, and then PSI Legends with 6 seconds worth of time penalties. So the safety car is in this lap. Just Para is going to be the control car. He gets to decide when we restart. As long as it is before the start-finish line, we'll ride on board with King David, see what kind of a jump Para is able to get. King David, he's ready to go. Para, he's not ready just yet, but we are green, green, green for the final laps of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Slayer's in. That is a surprise. Here comes Oh, they're all pushing each other around that turn one. Train game while getting such a good start compared to Dye and the cars in front. Just Perret and King David. Wow. Nice move there. Looks like Train game while got past Milton as well. Oh, sorry, no, he didn't. See it behind us. Oh, spotted spins.
And we got that yellow flag in Sector 1. Meanwhile, that's the first time that Para has been passed on track all day. And now he's defending against Calvin for second place as he watches his teammate ride off into the sunset. So more or less a mirror image of what happened at the start with these three drivers, save for King David on point now instead of just Para.
Yeah, but it all depends on how fast Train Game Wild's tyres go off and how fast he can actually get up those positions for Dye and Calvin and Perret. Depends how fast he can get past them before his tyres go off, and eventually maybe catch and pass King David.
And of course, Train Game Wow and that McLaren is somebody that we're going to have to keep an eye on. So far, only being able to make up one position on the restart. He's in P5, but trying to chase down Dye in the Ferrari. But there goes Calvin underneath of underneath of just Para, excuse me, but was not able to make the move that time. So Calvin has to follow just Para. And, you know, again, a mirror image of what Calvin has dealt with all day, except it's now King David's teammate he's dealing with.
Yeah, it's Norman's assessed the fastest lap now.
And, of course, the fastest lap, very important at this stage of the race, because if you finish in the top 10, you don't only get points for your finishing result, you also get a point for the fastest lap if you are the lucky driver that was able to claim that. So Norloser fighting for a little bit bigger picture, even though he's not in the battle for the lead at the moment.
Yeah, it's Train Game Wow. He isn't having the pace compared to Dye at the minute. Looks like he's actually falling towards Milton.
You know, and that's the question that I was wondering about, Smithy, is Saudi Arabia, for the soft tires, are they a better quality tire than they are a race tire? Now, maybe here in about a lap or two, you'll see Train Game Wow start making some moves toward these guys, but again, the soft tire, because they're the soft compound, naturally will be wearing out quicker than the mediums and the hards. And the hard tires and the medium tires, after a few laps, really find their prime and last a little bit longer. And you can really see Milton just putting a lot of pressure on Train Game Wow, so starting to look like maybe the soft tires were not the way to go, but Train Game Wow doing a good job at defending, I'll give him that much.
Yeah, as obviously former GP2 champion, he got a slow start as well last week compared to Dye, and here comes Calvin actually. Compared to Perez actually used all of the RS compared to Calvin. He's used actually next to none as Matthew. And then MJ swap positions, and here comes MJ on the switch back compared to Ronatoris. Oh, this is going to be so close. Going off the track of the fifth there is MTJ. They're going to go side by side through the first sector.
So MDJ P10, Rontosaurus up to P9 now. Maddie in the 11th position, just trying to get into the points. And oh my goodness, some contact between Maddie and Mansell. Mansell going on the inside of the Ferrari, and let's see which driver is going to be able to get the advantage here. It is Mansell moving into P11. Maybe, just maybe, he can chase down P10, but he's only got a handful of laps to do it.
Yeah, not long left for Mansell to get that P10. But obviously with MTJ having the penalty. Actually, here comes Milton in towards the... Oh, that was an opportunistic move, and he's got it done. There comes Train Game Wow right back at him.
So Train Game Wow, those soft tires, definitely not agreeing with it, but he doesn't care. He's going underneath of the Red Bull. Side by side, 3 wide now.
Oh, Ray Jones has just gone past all 3. All 2, sorry. And here comes Norloose as well, coming straight back at Milton, and maybe even Train Game Well, and Ray Jones is going to have to defend from probably 3 cars here.
2 by 2, nose to tail, 4 cars, 2 wide with each group. And Rage Hunter leads them out of turn 3. The McLaren of Train Game Wow in P6 still. Norloser in 7th. Milton, the big loser out of all that, dropping down to 8th. So now it looks like the soft tires are starting to come alive slowly but surely, save for maybe Rage Hunter on those medium tires that just made a very crazy move on the outside and made it work.
Yeah, it's yeah, nice move by Norloser there. Train Game Wow's gonna have to defend from Milton again now. As Slayer says fastest lap on the newest set stops.
And meanwhile, our battle for the lead has increased to 3 cars now. King David, Just Para, and Calvin Racing. That's your top 3, but it's also the top 3 cars that are battling. King David Just Para getting a little bit close to his teammate of King David up there in the 1st position. But King David's still on point, and Calvin, of course, following Just Para, trying to find a way past both of them. Calvin has yet to make a pass on track for the lead today, but oh my goodness, he gets into him! He spins Just Para around! Calvin P2, King David P1. Will Calvin be able to get by King David now?
Has he got front wing damage is the big question, and Para, the big loser there, down to P7. That is really unlucky for the pole sitter. And it was looking like a perfect race for him, and it's just all gone, and I feel so sorry for him.
Yeah, and Just Para, the fastest car in qualifying, and arguably the fastest, and definitely one of the fastest cars in the race today, now out. And I'm glad I'm not a steward, honestly, because if I did, I wouldn't know how to call that. Because, simply put, as a commentator, I have to commentate and call what I see. But it all happened so fast, I wouldn't know who to put blame on there.
Yeah, as it's going to be a very interesting night. It's going to be a lot of fireworks in the GP2 chat. Not as much fireworks as last week. Sorry, the GP3 chat actually. Or probably even GP2 as well. Or GP2 just the whole of last season, to be honest. As here comes Rage Hunter maybe for that podium.
We'll see what he's able to do. He was right up on the back of Die, but not able to make the move that time. And, Norloser, even though he's got a time penalty, you got to give him credit. He has made a good charge there to the end. Now, let's take a look at the time penalties. Norloser, it's only 3 seconds. So, a very small chance that he's going to get on the podium here. It would take a catastrophic mistake from both of these drivers ahead of him in order to get that. But still, Norloser, like I said, doing a good job fighting up there nonetheless. It shows that he's got the pace. He just needs to avoid the penalties.
I would like to thank EA, live on stream, for making my game crash.
Oh my goodness, okay, so while we hopefully are able to get you back in here for the finish, it's lap 23 of 25, and PSI Legends is now out of this race. He has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but it doesn't matter. He is retired in the pits, I do believe, so no worry of a safety car. Of course, too late for that now. As I said, lap 23 of 25, and it is still a 3-car battle for the lead. However, King David is a little bit further ahead because if you missed it, Calvin and Just Para had some contact through the final corner a couple of laps ago, so that's why you see Calvin Racing and Rage Hunter, the two teammates.
I just saw that Bossy absolutely demolishing the wall. As Slayer as well, going quite slow on his outlap. Yeah, so what happened to Train Game Wow? Did he spin?
Oh my god, I did not notice what happened to Train Game Wow, but yeah, Train Game Wow is actually out now as well, so there has been a little bit of chaos. In fact, I'm starting to think that maybe Train Game Wow had some issues in the 3rd sector. There was a yellow flag around the time that PSI Legends retired. But Bossy Gaming, as you said, he is spun and he is out of this race, unfortunately, so it's going to be a P13 finish for him, classified as a DNF. No points for him, unfortunately, so better luck next week to Bossy Gaming. But it's lap 24 of 25, the penultimate lap. You're watching the battle for second as King David is pulling away. Rage Hunter is in P2, Calvin in P3, and he's dropping back, and I'm wondering if Calvin might have a little bit of damage.
Yeah, it's not favourable for Calvin at the minute. Obviously having some damage, and Para actually closing back in on the person that spun him.
Yeah, and of course, just Para very far back now in P6. There you see it. No, actually, he might have some wing damage. I think the left side end plate might be gone off of that Alpine, if I'm looking correctly. Hopefully, we can get a nice, steady camera angle so I can see it.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely see it there now. So Just Para does have some damage, and he's just limping along trying to get the best finish that he can. One of the fastest cars here, and you really just have to feel for him, just that moment being taken away there, just through hard racing.
Yeah, it was obviously on the brakes with Calvin. It was a really unlucky incident. Sometimes that happens. And obviously on to next week for Perra. But he might be able to salvage a podium, depending on people in front of him and penalties in front of him.
So here is the final lap, just one more lap to go for King David. If he can make it all the way around, he will be the winner of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He had a good qualifying result, but it was his teammate of Just Para who was able to claim the pole position, and Just Para
led. Calvin getting loose. Calvin getting loose there. Norley's actually tapped him on the back of his car, and you can see lines forming on those tyres of Norley's, and they're absolutely destroyed. Obviously 9 laps is too much for those softs, I think. Di's going to be putting all the pressure on him at the minute, saying maybe for Perra as well. I believe Calvin's gone back into the DRS of his teammate.
Maybe so, and will Calvin maybe just have one last opportunity to make a run at his teammate? Not sure that he'll be able to overtake him or not, but we could see a battle for second place between the two. And, I'd say that both of them would enjoy a battle between the two, but King David is on point, and he's in the third and final sector, looking like it's just going to be one more corner to go until he can officially say that he has won the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix through the penultimate corner. And you can see on your leaderboard there is no change in position between Rage Hunter and Calvin. Down the front straight away for the final time.
Oh, Di's gone for a move! Di went for a very opportunistic move, and
we got some carnage. We got some carnage in the back as King David crosses the line to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Rage Hunter and Calvin racing second and third. That was the Ferrari. Was that Di that spun there at the end?
Yes, it was, and that was a really unlucky incident for Di. And I don't think you can honestly blame him for that. I think that just happens sometimes. He went for a move, very optimistic, knowledge to close the door. Made a bit of contact, lost it, and slid into the side of Perra, and eventually spinning. Oh, has Mansell's been disqualified?
Mansell has been disqualified? For what, though?
I don't know.
So, Mansell possibly will be disqualified from this race. Now, obviously, if there is a timing issue or something, he can report that to the stewards and have that overturned if the stewards deem it, unworthy disqualification. So these results could potentially be unofficial, but your unofficial results, I suppose, for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is King David with the win, Rage Hunter in second, Calvin in third, Just Para in fourth, a decent rebound after a tragic loss of P2. Norloser in fifth, Milton in sixth, Rhinosaurus in seventh, eighth is Di, ninth is MVJ, Maddie in 10th, The Slayer in 11th, Bossy Gaming in 12th, PSI Legends in 13th, 14th is Train Game Wow, Casty in 15th, and Mansell in 16th. After that disqualification, of course, if that is overturned, then the results might change, but we will have to wait and see in due time. But we will talk to our top three finishers of King David, Rage Hunter, and Calvin here in just a moment.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm sorry about this. I've got to go. Thank you for having me on.
All right, well, Smithy, you have a good day and have fun, and hey, next week.
Yeah, maybe.
So hopefully we can get King David, Rage Hunter, and Calvin in this party. If they don't join, then of course we will just have to end the stream. Of course, we're not going to force our drivers to do interviews, but if they want to come in here and talk to me, of course they are free to do so. Looks like Calvin is a little bit disappointed with his race. And he did have some damage, it appears, so that's why Calvin lost some pace there at the end. But still a decent P3 for the damage that he suffered. And do we have any drivers in here? Oh, perfect timing, Calvin. Perfect timing. We do have Calvin, so we can talk to him.
Hello.
So we'll just give the other two a minute to join if they want to.
That sounds good to me.
And hopefully we can load and get into our showroom for our interviews. And hopefully by that time we will be able to talk to our winner in P2 as well. But we do have P3 of Calvin in here with us at the moment. And it's just occurred to me, and this is quite embarrassing, I'm not 100% sure where the showroom is on this game. So we're just going to have to stay on the main menu and talk to Calvin. But Calvin, before we talk to you, please make sure you've allowed your voice to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings and click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
Yep, I'm already ready for that.
Hey, and I found the virtual showroom at the perfect time, actually. If only I could read, Calvin. So, Calvin...
well, they like to hide it on this one.
I know, it's a little bit different, and I have to get used to the swing of things, but you know, that's something that I think we're all sort of dealing with. But, Calvin, you have a decent day here. You had potential at a win, but you're coming up a little bit short on P3. But to address the elephant in the room, all of us want to know what happened between you and Just Pair there.
I just locked up, that was all it was. There was an opportunity because we both had the DRS and thought if I can try and get past King David as well, and then challenge for the 1-2 with Para, but I just locked up going into it. The extra speed from having double slipstream threw me off a bit and just went straight on. Total accidental, but it is what it is in the end, and do apologise for it, and hopefully there's no more hard feelings going to be about it. But it was a hell of a race, and I haven't been this exhausted from one for a while, so it was hard work. That.
Oh no, go ahead.
It was just hard work. That was all. The battle with David throughout the start of the race, that was intense. I've never been in a battle that's been that close, like within 2 attempts for 15 odd laps. It was just hard work, and it was good fun at the same time though, so I'm glad to get on the podium at least. But yeah, it could have been a win if I didn't lock up and get that damage, but it is what it is.
And tell us about the battle that you had pretty much all race long with King David, and your thought process about playing with the DRS there a little bit.
It was just intense. That was all there was to it. It was non-stop. I mean, as I said, I've never worked so hard for a race, so it was just a case of trying to get the DRS at the right time. But we were so even on pace that we couldn't drag each other along to catch up to the leader, and all we were doing was allowing the others to catch up behind us a bit because we were so even. But it was good fun. And enjoyed it, and hope he enjoyed it, and hope everyone else enjoyed it, because it was ridiculous.
Well, I definitely would like to see the onboard later, Calvin. That was very interesting and fun to watch from the commentary booth. Congratulations on your P3.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll talk to his teammate of Rage Hunter. So Rage Hunter, a P2 on the day, coming up just 1 spot short, but you made some fantastic moves there in the final 6 laps approximately. So tell us, when the safety car came out, what was going through your mind, and what was your plan to get to the front?
Hey Tim, how's it going, mate? You're right. Yeah, it's tough start to the race. I lost a few positions off the line because I just had a bit too much wheel spin and didn't quite get it hooked up. So sort of fighting from the back really, and quite funnily I said to Calvin, I need a safety car now, and then about a minute later, out came a safety car, so I got what I needed. But yeah, I knew there was quite a few guys on hards around me, on hard tyres, and I sort of saved my errors until the DRS zones were unlocked on lap 3, and then waited for the chance, really. And I had such a good drive coming off that penultimate corner to not go for the move down the outside. The fact it came off and it worked was, was really good. But yeah, tough race, like Calvin said, really tough race. And towards the end, we knew we weren't going to catch the leader, so I sort of pulled myself back a bit to help my teammate for the points for the team. Good race.
And that actually is the second question that I was going to ask you, is we have seen Haas in Speed Force Racing statistically have a good time with the constructor standings a lot of times when you're driving for them. So what is it about that you all are going to tackle this season? What's your plan for the constructors?
It was the plan is the same as what it was when me and Calvin were teammates last time. We're going to get as many points as we can between us, and towards the end of that race, Calvin said, "I've got damage, you need to go past me and pull me along and see if you can catch the leader," which I did, and I was 2 and a bit seconds away from him, and I wasn't going to do that within a lap and a half. So I dropped back to help Cal through to CP3, hopefully, and yeah, that's the name of the game, really. Consistent points, and you're not going to win. You're not going to win every race, especially with the caliber of drivers we've got with us in GP2 this season. So it's more about the team to start with, same as season 8 with me and Calv, and then it'll be, yeah, we'll see what happens, Tim. There's a long way to go yet. Long way to go.
All right, well, congratulations, Rage Hunter, on your top 2 finish, and good luck to you both in that constructor's journey.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks, man.
And now, do we have King David with us by chance?
No, we don't. He's not here, I'm afraid.
Alrighty, well, then I guess that's all the time that we have for today. But, of course, thank you to everyone who watched, and, of course, thank you to all the drivers that raced with us. And congratulations to our top 3 finishers. And until next time, good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Have fun, and goodbye.